Hello, my name is Monica and I will be your OET teacher for today. I am OET certified, so no problem there. Now, if you want to know the answer to this particular question without any explanations whatsoever, then you can skip right ahead towards the end of the video. You will find the answer there. But if you are a student who is preparing for the OET reading exam and you want to learn how to answer the questions that you encounter in your Part C, then keep watching this video. Now, let's see what kind of question we have here. Here, the writer is saying that the writer discusses the study, and I want you to notice this term, in order to. So basically, they're asking you, why is the writer discussing this study? The writer is discussing this study to ABC, any of these reasons. These kinds of questions are the easiest to answer, in my personal opinion, because the answer is staring you right in the face for this. But if you want to understand why I say what I say, then you have to understand a couple of things here. First of all, please understand the person, the writer, cannot just use study. The writer can also use any kinds of examples, any kinds of expert's opinion, any kind of data, which basically includes your studies, research, statistics, survey, any kind of numbers, 3 million people here, 2 million people there, any kinds of things a writer can use to do a certain thing. Why does the writer usually use these things? Well, the writer usually uses these things to prove a point. And that point of view could also be his own perspective. It could be somebody else's perspective. How do we figure out which particular point of view is the writer trying to support with that particular study or example or quote? How do we figure that out? In order to figure that out, you need to understand wherever the writer is using any of those things, study, research, data, quotes, examples, whatsoever. For example, here, I've used a quote, you can see, right? By somebody else. And I've highlighted the sentence right before the quote, and I've also highlighted the sentences right after the quote. What it means is, in that paragraph, no matter how lengthy your study or that aspect is that the writer is using to prove a certain point, the point will always be understood from what is given right before. If you understand right before it, whatever they have discussed, then you shouldn't have any problem understanding why the writer is using this example. Because we use examples of anything to support what we think or to support a certain point of view, to support a certain idea, belief system. And sometimes right after providing that example also, we make the same point again. So you have to double check there, right? So once again, review. What does the writer do? The writer uses any of these things. Examples, expert's opinion, or data. Examples could be real life, it could be imaginary. Data could be in any form. It could be a survey, it could be a research, it could be a study, just like in our case, or it could be any other statistic, any other numbers, right? And the writer uses this to support a perspective. This is the reason why the writer is using this. So if you're looking for your answer, why does the writer do this? Why has the writer used this quote phrase? This is what your answer is. But where do you find this answer? Right before that quote, right before that study example, and sometimes right after it also. So you double check. So do not worry, do not be concerned about the length of that example, because that example, that quote can contain XYZ number of details, but your answer will never come from that particular quote. Your answer will come from what is written right before that quote. Okay, so remember, the idea, the point of view, that's what you want to understand right before that study in the question that we are going to do just now. Let's see then. The writer discusses the study. Where is this study? And what do I get to know about it? Let's see here. The long-term impacts of COVID on the brain are becoming clearer, sustained inflammation, blah, 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 and related, blah, blah, blah. A recent landmark study. Aha, we find the study here. Recent landmark study. And I want to focus on the term recent landmark. Landmark tells me that it is quite exceptional, it's quite revolutionizing, it's a landmark. That means it has changed something drastically in this research community. So that means it's a very, very important study. And then they keep on talking about the study, right? I found out here is where my study is. So what do I want to do? Well, I simply want to see what I see before this. This is the sentence that I see before it, and that's what I want to read. Sustained inflammation disrupting the blood-brain barrier has been shown to be a key mechanism. Look at this word, blood-brain barrier, a key, very important mechanism, which is driving the cognitive, because if something is related to brain, cognitive functions and related symptoms in COVID, long COVID. Okay, what do I see before it? That the long-term impacts of COVID on the brain, they're saying the same thing, are becoming clearer, right? And what are these long-term impacts that they're talking about? Sustained inflammation is one of the long-term COVID impacts, which is actually affecting the blood-brain barrier. Now, here has been shown to be a key mechanism in driving these symptoms. Mechanism does not always mean a good thing. And here it is a problem that is actually creating these symptoms in long COVID, creating these cognitive issues. Got it. Understood. Sure. Now let's read the study. Demonstrated lowering of IQ. This is an example of long-term impact. This is an example of cognitive issue by 6 points in individuals with long COVID related to unaffected individuals. So you're comparing the unaffected individuals and you're telling me that, listen, in these people, we found this issue. Individuals with mild acute infection showed a 3-point Q drop, again, a blood barrier thing. Given how widespread long COVID is, the implications of societies are substantial. That means they are saying that this is a very, very big issue for the society, sure, but this is the point that they are trying to make. And this is where my answer is. And if I find my answer anywhere else, I'll kill myself. But this is where the answer is. Let's go to the answer options now. The writer discusses the study in order to prove that long COVID only affects brain's decision making. I know long COVID affects brains something. I can always confirm. The long COVID or sustained on the brain are becoming clearer. Disrupting the blood-brain barrier has been shown to be a key driving mechanism, driving the cognitive and related symptoms. Cognitive and related symptoms. Have they told me something about decision making? I don't think so. Because they haven't talked about brain's decision making, this is where I have an issue. They themselves nitpicked a particular thing the brain does. Decision making. They could have very well used any other issue also, memory issue. They could have used sentence formation issue, comprehension. But they haven't talked about a specific thing. They have only talked about IQ, not decision making. If they haven't even mentioned this in my paragraph, would this be correct? Obviously not. But some students will think long COVID affects the brain. Great. Cognitive? Great. It is a part of cognitive. Let me choose this to be the right answer. Specifically, they haven't talked about this. And cognitive encompasses a variety of things. So not this answer choice. Then B says, question the reliability. The writer is discussing the study so that he can question the reliability of the IQ tests which are measuring COVID's effects. See, when I talked about this perspective, I didn't find the IQ here. No, I didn't. But I found the IQ here. If your answer is ever coming from the actual example, code, study, research, data that the writer is using for some purpose, if it's coming from inside that, it's not going to be the answer. Most probably it's not going to be the answer. Because before that, he did not make a point about IQ test. He made a point about the effect on the cognitive. Okay, so no, but I'm still going to consider it. I'm still going to consider it for those students who are still going to be in doubt, and we'll see how it is wrong. C, provide evidence. The writer is using the study to provide evidence that severe cases, let's look at this word, severe cases of COVID impact only high IQs. It's quite confusing. They're both talking about IQ tests. Do we have severe cases? Well, here they said that demonstrated lowering of IQ by 6 points in individuals with long COVID. And then with mild, they have talked about people who have mild infection, but they haven't talked about people who have severe cases. No. So severe cases part is wrong. Also, they have talked about impact only high IQs. They have told me by how many points the IQ was reduced, but they haven't told me what was the IQ to begin with. Was it a high IQ? Was it already a very low IQ? I don't have that information. So, no, my answer option C is also going to be wrong here. Then, the writer is using the study to highlight, or in order to discuss, or in order to highlight certain effects of long COVID. What are those certain effects? Well, sustained inflammation is one. Then disrupting the blood-brain barrier is number two. Then cognitive and related symptoms in long COVID three. So I do have certain effects of long COVID. Because of long COVID, it impacts the brain. So the impacts, the effects of COVID on the brain are becoming clear. And what are those effects? Number one, number two, number three, number four. I can confirm it, and I have found this answer here. If I compare it with B, obviously I will go ahead and choose my answer option C. So if you liked the video so far, I want you to like and subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends if you want to see more such videos. Now, coming back to this question type. Remember, if you want to answer a question about why does the writer use anything, the quote, the study, the statistic, the data, any of these things, please keep in mind you want to understand what is written right before and right after that particular example. Because right before is where the writer will show either his own point of view or somebody else's point of view. Doesn't matter. Whatever that idea or point of view is, that is what the writer trying to support with their example. That is why the writer is using this. So this is how you answer questions about why does the writer do anything. By the way, it could be a phrase or an expression also. We'll see that next time. Bye bye.